Dancers have a lot to balance. From their pirouettes to their jumps, a dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals about what a dancer's diet should look like. I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition, and I'm here to dispel those. Rebecca, thank you for joining me today. I would love for you to take a moment to introduce yourself to everybody.
Thank you for inviting me. I hope everybody can hear me well. And sorry for my English. I've been practicing. Hello, I'm Rebecca Storani. I'm Italian, an Italian professional dancer. I've been working since my 18 years old. So straight away from finishing the classes in my school in Rome. And after that, I started teaching 3 years ago, actually, because I got my degree from the National Academy. And I've been loving teaching since then. And so that's why mostly of my time right now is teaching rather than dancing with the company.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that a bit and just hear how your relationship with dance has shifted from spending most of your time dancing and performing yourself to now being an educator, being at the front of the room and educating dancers, of younger ages. So why don't you tell us about how your relationship with dance has shifted?
Well, it has changed a lot, actually. First of all, because of my health, and second, because of many dynamics I was not liking anymore inside the company. I mean, not in a special company, but in general, like how is the life of a professional dancer in the company. So it has changed a lot, actually, to be on the other side of the room. But I'm loving this part because you're in contact with the young dancers that want to grow not just as dancers but as human beings, so that's a lot of responsibility, but I'm loving the process because I'm studying a lot, not just dance but actually how to approach the best with them and to make them grow healthy dancers. That's my big goal. Because, okay, ballet is somehow with the discipline and everything, it's hard as person, but at the same time, we can make the two things work together and have the right balance that I was searching for as a dancer.
Yeah, I often say that the educators are the front line, and they're the ones that are having the biggest impact, obviously, on the next generations of dance,
Yes.
right? And as you mentioned, really helping to lay the groundwork for a culture that feels inviting and more sustainable for future generations of dancers. So I love hearing that this is one of your biggest priorities. And also, I often say that educators have a responsibility almost to model, right? Model sustainable behaviors. I'd love to hear about some obstacles that you've experienced, whether that was in your relationship with food or just in your dance career, that you feel that you've overcome or are still working to overcome.
Yes. So with food, it's one of the biggest problems and trauma I had because I have a different body, let's say. Like I'm a bit muscly, and I don't know if you remember, but we talked once already, like 2 or 3 years ago. I had eating disorders, and I didn't even know about it. But after I started my let's say process with a psychologist, and I totally knew what I was going through and what was good and healthy for me and what was not. And right now I can say I am finally better. I beat it. And yeah, so the food was one of the worst because as I was saying, my body is a bit more muscly than probably what they're looking for in a classical ballerina.
Mm,
And so I always had problems with my weight, with how I was looking, and that was causing me trauma because I couldn't see myself anymore in the mirror. And the art usually was on the top of my work, but at that time was me, my mirror, and my food, the top of the problems. So it was going on top of the art, and
mm,
that was not so nice for me to experience this because for me, ballet is not just the bar, is not just the point shoes or whatever technique, or it's about the role, it's about the art, it's about living on stage, giving your emotion to the public. And if I didn't have that anymore, or if I have it in a small portion, mm, I don't know, somehow um, it was not me anymore.
yeah, yeah.
So dealing with these traumas that some teachers had me um, was hard because I really had it from when I was 14. So it's actually more than 10 years. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost 14, 15 years with eating disorders. And I don't want to say I don't want to blame just the teachers because that's of course something I had, but the way they make you grow and they make you feel it's a lot important inside a studio because you're there like 8 hours a day or something like that,
Yeah.
7, let's say. So it's most of our time inside there. It's what we love to do and what we care the most. So I think uh, one of the reason I want healthy dancers in general, not just with food, not just with bodies, but with the mind, it's because of that. I don't want to have what I experienced.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and and so yeah, food is basically the biggest problem I had, but I had many more like injuries, like leaving your country, like going outside when I was 14 and just living alone, like taking care of the house, taking care of the schedule, everything. Like mom is not there to take care of that for you. And when you're 18, that's kind of okay because you feel like you're growing up and you're big enough to do that alone, but actually you're not that much. You don't have that, um, I don't know how to say in English, but
Responsibility,
yeah, like
independence.
inside you. Yeah, yeah, kind of, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, so I had many stops and going again in my career. And the decision right now makes me feel a lot better, actually. I still danced somehow in some ways, but I don't have the same contact in the studio, the same hours that didn't make me feel anymore. Like Rebecca was not there. And now that I found it back again, I'm really happy. And
Mm-hmm.
thank you for your support in that chat that we did. It was
Yeah.
it was great because it made me realize, like sometimes when you talk to people outside dancing, you feel like, okay, but they don't understand. Like
Mm,
they say you're okay, you're fine, you're beautiful, but they don't understand. They simply don't understand because they're not inside our world. But
yeah.
when we did the chat, like you coming from a dancer, a nutritionist, and everything that I actually needed, it made me realized. And so I went to ask for help.
Yeah. So many incredible points that you bring up, Rebecca. The first thing that I really want to hone into here is the ability to identify when there was a challenge. And this is something I want dancers to focus on. It sounds like you were able to recognize that when you lost the passion, the love, and even that joy in the studio, it was a big reason for saying, okay, something's not right here, and I need to seek support, right? Seek professional support, whether it's a dietitian, a licensed mental health therapist. It sounds like that was an incredible way to recognize the need for support. And I want dancers to really hone in on this, because I often say that dance should be joyful. We don't have to feel tortured in the studio. We don't have to feel so much stress at meal times with snack and with food. These aren't sacrifices that have to be made to be a professional dancer, right? We can actually maintain a professional career while still keeping a supportive relationship with food. And it sounds like being able to recognize that was a huge, gave you the ability to kind of say, all right, I got to take a couple steps back in order to be able to take steps forward as a dancer.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
What made me the decision to stop dancing in the company was not actually just because of that, because as you're saying, you can balance the both things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was different because of injuries as well.
Yeah.
So I had to stop and start again. So it was many reasons that made me stop. So I'm not saying that we cannot balance both things, but
Mm-hmm.
actually, yes, recognize where's the problem and not just deal with it because that's not the way, but find for help as you're doing with so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's really important for us professional dancers, but for our next generations, for just to create this I don't know the word again. Sorry.
Confidence and
Yeah,
independence and
yeah,
confidence. Confidence is another big word. There's so many that we can throw out there, but I understand what you mean. Yeah, and it's so funny. It's it's a hard thing to explain, right? The pros and the cons of experiencing these types of obstacles and challenges, from injury to a challenged relationship with food. With that being said, it does give us an opportunity. It gives us an opportunity to now take it to the next step. For me, it's being a clinician and helping dancers with what I needed help with over 15 years ago. For you, it's now being that educator, right? And helping to foster a new generation of dancers that will understand how to care for their bodies and recognize the importance of nutrition support and mental health support. So I do
of
love
course.
I love hearing that you've turned it into an opportunity to now help the dancers you're working with.
Yes, and that's what makes me feel better actually, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of guide them through the healthy way of dancing, even though so many companies are not still there yet,
Mm-hmm.
especially in our country, in Italy. Depends on the culture, depends on the way you're trained, and that's how you go on after to a professional life. But to be even just a little one that makes a little change,
Yeah.
that makes me happy because I really love to see my dancers in the studio. They are happy, they can talk, they can
Mm.
ask me questions, they can talk to me outside the studio whenever they want. We're like friends when we go to some ballet course or to some, I don't know, competition, whatever. We're like friends outside, and I love that because they can really um, talk to me about everything. I mean, I don't want to be mental, I don't know, like
Support.
psychology. Yes, but I can give them support, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope I can help them recognize what's healthy and what's not about their lives.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, educators are on the front line. You are the ones that are spending the most time with dancers, and you are the ones that are going to help clinicians like myself share the messages and help dancers identify when those challenges might persist. I would love to hear about how, as an educator now, you promote, because it really kind of comes off what you were saying before in regard to just being, not just a teacher, but also a friend and a supporter. It sounds like you do things with your dancers. I'd love to hear how you encourage that your dancers not hyper fixate too much on dance. Obviously, we need a high level of time and energy that goes into our training. But when do you, or how do you share the message to say balance in life is also just as important? Because as you said earlier, actually, I'm going to take this from you. You said the time in the studio is only one part of it, right? It's also the artistry, the artist, and who we are as an artist. For you, when you felt that the training was maybe overwhelming the artistry, that's when there was a imbalance, right? So how do you encourage that your dancers maintain a balance between the artistry and then of course the demand, the technical demand?
How do I help them to
Yeah,
recognize this? Was that your question?
yeah, how do you promote more balance for them?
Well, I try to see it first. So I try to see how they're acting in the studio, if they're feeling anxious, if they're feeling, I don't know, sad about something, and I talk to them. That's
Mm,
the first thing.
yeah.
So even in the studio, when I feel them tired, or I don't know, they're trying so hard, but something just doesn't, it stays the same in the same class, I just go on. I say, like, guys, it's okay. Like, we're human beings, and it's okay if something doesn't come the first time. Maybe it will come the second time. Maybe after 1 year, we don't know. We're here to work. We are here to do what we love. But yeah, I just I talk to them,
I
and
love that.
somehow I feel the feedback. I feel the feedback from them, because when you're just teaching and teaching and just saying the steps, you don't really know what's going on inside them. And I want to know that part. Like yesterday, we just came from a competition the last weekend. And after like 2 hours and a half of training, because we had class for 1 hour and a half and then variations and preparation for the last show of the year. After like the last 10 minutes, I really felt them tired. And I said, guys, are you really tired? Talk to me. And they said, no, 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 we can do it. We can do it. You don't need to show off. Like, you don't need to show me you're not tired, you know? That's something for me really important. Like, mm, I don't know how to say, but I really feel when they want to be serious with me,
Yeah,
and I feel when they're just saying, no, I don't want to, but
yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it sounds like you've built a like intuitive or almost intuitive connection with them, and you can really get a sense of your students and what they might need, which is a really special skill as an educator.
thank you for the words actually that I was missing the
Yeah.
exact words. But yes, I mean, I'm working with these classes and for like 3 years, so I started to know them better through the years. Of course, I don't have this with people I don't know, but I think the best way to help them, as I said before, is to talk. Like,
Yeah.
because sometimes in ballet class we're used to just like stay there and do, but we need to express ourselves, not just with the body sometimes, you know. You need to ask
Hmm.
questions. We need to say, teacher, please, can you say me again the exercise? Can I please go drink a little bit of water or something like this? Something that I didn't have back in my time. Like I just
Hmm.
had to stay there for like 2 hours, 3 hours without drinking, without talking, without even sharing something with a friend. And that's not the best way to get there, I think. You can
Yeah.
still get there with the maybe, let's say, a slower process, but I don't even know if it's slower actually, because when you see inside your dancers what's going on, you know how to act with them, how to make them feel better, how to make them grow the dancing part. And actually, for me, it's faster even because if I know they're tired, I won't push further because I know the body is not responding the same way and they can get injured.
Yeah.
Then what we do? They stop, and that's I feel guilty and they feel sad and all the process they will go through. But actually, if we stop that 10 minutes before, we just go through with the mind, not with the body, and we feel the music and we find something else and we search for the role and some. I mean, I think we can make the growing and the technique and everything go faster.
Yeah, you raise a beautiful, beautiful perspective here. The importance of open dialogue. Now, I find a lot of educators can be a little bit nervous around this, nervous about saying the wrong things, especially when it comes around conversations of food. A lot of educators they don't necessarily want to bring it up if they feel it's a touchy topic. And I don't agree with that. I think having open dialogue, I know I sound like a broken record, but again, as an educator, you are on the front line. You're the one that's going to help to identify if a struggle exists. You have that intuitive and instinctual ability to sense when your dancers might need um, the encouragement of taking a break, or just, maybe focusing a little bit more on mindset to regain their artistry in the classroom. So I do feel that open dialogue is such an important concept in growing a very supportive studio culture. So anyone takes away from, if there's anything any of you take away from this conversation from Rebecca, it's the importance of dialogue with your dancers. I just love hearing that. And I also really agree with you. I think that when we are fostering these supportive environments, our dancers are going to grow, whether it's at a faster rate, I don't know, but definitely at a more efficient rate, because the hope is you're naturally working towards injury prevention, right? And teaching your dancers how to recognize, like I said earlier, when it might be time to take a couple steps back because you had a long weekend of competitions and you're prepping for an end of the year show. So there's a lot going on, and it's important to model and show dancers how to recognize that. So Rebecca, thank you for bringing up such an incredible perspective. I do have one final question for you, although you really answered this in multiple ways already during the conversation, but I'm going to throw it out there because I throw it out for everybody. How would you redefine what it means to be the healthy dancer, taking your experience now as a professional and as an educator?
Well, as a professional, I think it's a bit hard because we need to stay under the rules of a company that gives
Mm,
us the hour, the breaks, when you can drink, when you can, I don't know, go to the bathroom, whatever it's the need you have. So that's a bit harder, but you can work on yourself to create your own space, even inside those forced timing during the day. What we really need, I think, it's a balance between ballet and like our life outside work
mm,
and outside ballet. That made me rediscover myself again. Because before my life was really just about ballet. Like I would stay there from 10 to 6 or whatever, and then I go home and I see some ballet in my Instagram, and then I talk to my mom on how was my day and what role I did and if I was first or second cast. And that was my life. Like that was all. Like I had even a boyfriend that was a ballet dancer. So, the whole time we were talking just about that, and that's not healthy for yourself. Like I found some hobbies that made my mind still in art because I like to paint, I like to do nails. I started to do nails and I just
wow.
have a ballerina on top.
I love that. I love
Yeah. And so I reinvented myself in other hobbies that made my mind go off the discipline and timing. So that I think can help for professional and for students. At the same time, take for good anything your teacher says, but not really everything, because
that.
sometimes, and some teachers, I don't know, they also have their own problems. And sometimes they bring it to work, they bring it to the ballet studios, and they're nervous, not because of you, but because of their life, which I'm not saying is good. uh, Totally not. And I'm trying every day not to do this. Um, but to take the good part from the teacher, and sometimes when you feel like criticized, not to eliminate it because that's not good, but to kind of take it and work on it
Yeah.
somehow. Like, why did she say in this way? Did I act wrong? Like, ask yourself questions. Or was she just nervous? Like, to kind of know where the criticism was coming from,
Yeah.
and how to react the best way to it, but for yourself, not for the teacher. Like, that's how
Mm,
I think a dancer can grow. And about food, of course, having the good help, because alone we cannot do anything. Like, we have um, people like you that are specialized and study for this, to give the right support and know the best for us. Because even me, like, I'm a teacher, but I cannot give
mm,
advices for food, even though I had this problems with the approach of food, but I cannot give them because everybody's different. Everybody has their own needs. If they feel like without energy, my first advice is like, go find help. That's the best thing. Like, you need to know what you need for your body. Like, okay, what I can say is eat healthy, but that's not the best, because sometimes we need those sweets as well,
yeah.
otherwise
Yeah.
our mind just stays there. Like, for example, I had a diet for 1 year. I didn't have one sweet, one gum,
Mm,
one, I don't know, something. I was just strict on that diet. But after that, what happened? I just started eating
mm,
whatever
mm.
was coming in the fridge and whatever I found. Because after 1 year, like, you totally get crazy and you just desire food rather than desiring, I don't know, going for a walk with a friend and something else, something else
Yeah.
that makes you joy.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. I mean, there is a lot to say. I can be
Yes.
talking here like for 1 hour, but
Yeah, no, I agree.
resuming, that's the best
You
things I can say.
you've brought up some really great points. What is healthy for one dancer is just might not be healthy for another dancer. I always give the
Exactly.
strawberry example, which is strawberries happen to be a high allergen food. Strawberries are a really healthy fruit. They're full of vitamin C. They're chock full of fiber and great nutrients. But guess what? If a dancer has an allergy to strawberries, it's going to be far from healthy for them, right? So
Of
it's
course.
what is healthy for one dancer is not necessarily what is healthy for another dancer. And I appreciate you. I appreciate your um, encouragement for dancers to seek support specifically from those who are, licensed and credible and credentialed to give it. So that's important because with social media, it's there's information at our fingertips with these topics, especially when it comes to food and nutrition. So I do love hearing that when the professionals and the educators are also playing their part in just sharing the resources that could be available. Rebecca, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. You've really shared beautiful insight, and I'm truly honored to have had you on here today.
I'm so happy too, and I wish we can have this chat one more time one day, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really love talking with you, and I love to create
Yeah.
knowledge on on Instagram and on other social medias, because that's what the most of our students and young ballet dancers are looking to. And sometimes we have those fake news going around about ballet, about food, about everything. And I try to beat it as much as I can. Like, don't follow these rules, don't follow this, don't follow that, because that's not healthy.
Mm,
Mm, so
yeah.
yeah, I try my best on my profile. But
Yeah,
of
you're
course, as much as I can talk about this, I'm happy because I want to give the right messages to our dancers.
yeah, you are doing a phenomenal job. And like I said, I appreciate you greatly. But we will stay connected. Okay, Rebecca, let's definitely connect again soon, and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I'm happy, and I I love your
Yeah,
work as well, what you're doing.
likewise. Likewise, Rebecca. We'll talk soon. Have a good day.
Bye.